Now imagine dropping a new song to win back the culture, and the only thing it wins is silence. Because What Did I Miss wasn't just supposed to be a comeback, it was supposed to be Drake's reset, his statement, his Iceman Era. But instead, the fans are confused, the numbers are mid, and two of his closest allies, Future and LeBron, just hit him with the coldest responses we've seen in rap all year. So the question is, what did Drake really miss? And is this the beginning of something greater, or the moment the crown started to slip for real? Drake's latest single, What Did I Miss, was meant to signal the beginning of a new chapter, his so-called Iceman Era. But instead of resetting the narrative post-Kendrick, the early numbers and reactions suggest the opposite. With 2.81 million first-day streams, the song didn't flop outright, but it also didn't match the explosive debuts we've seen recently, especially from Kendrick Lamar's featured verses, which have crossed 5 million streams easily. That's the context fans are using to judge Drake right now, not just against his own past, but against the bar Kendrick has set this year. Some of the backlash stems from the song's timing and its emotional tone. After months of public tension, fans expected a sharp, focused return, but What Did I Miss came off to some as defensive rather than dominant. Drake supporters argue the track is misunderstood, while others feel it's another entry in a pattern of songs responding to personal riffs more than pushing the genre forward. Still, it's early. One song doesn't define a full comeback, but it does set the tone. And if this is how Drake's new era begins, the pressure for the next move just got a lot heavier. If you're rocking with the breakdown so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and every single one counts. Now, if the numbers weren't enough to raise eyebrows, what happens when one of your closest celebrity allies suddenly flips the script? Because right after What Did I Miss dropped, the most unexpected reaction didn't come from a rapper, it came from LeBron James. And the way he responded? It wasn't loud, it wasn't messy, but it spoke volumes. Drake name-dropped LeBron in the song, clearly feeling betrayed by his public support of Kendrick Lamar. But LeBron didn't write a caption, drop a bar, or go on a podcast. He just liked a post from Future that said, "I'ma always choose being real over anything." No press statement, no rebuttal, just one tap, and the message was sent. So ask yourself, why would LeBron, someone Drake once idolized enough to tattoo, suddenly align with Future over him? Why go this route? That single did more damage than an entire diss track, because it confirms something the internet was already whispering. Drake's losing more than streams. He's losing people. And if even LeBron's jumping ship, what does that mean for the rest of his circle? Now that's when things get even more complicated. Because let's be real, that Future quote, it wasn't just a vibe, it was aimed directly at Drake, and he knew it. See, while fans were dissecting LeBron's silent move, it was Future's timing that really sent shockwaves. Hours after Drake's track dropped, Future posted, "I'ma always choose being real over anything." No names, no tags. But let's not kid ourselves. Everyone knew who it was about. Drake and Future have a long, complicated history. From What a Time to Be Alive to viral tours, they were once the tightest duo in the game. But now, that bond looks broken. Why? Because Drake's song didn't just take aim at industry figures. It sounded like a cry of frustration at those who stayed neutral during his beef with Kendrick. Future, who linked up with Metro Boomin for We Don't Trust You, made it clear where he stood, away from the drama. So when Drake hears that line, being real over anything, he's not hearing a general statement, he's hearing rejection from someone he once counted as a brother. And if Future's done playing both sides, who else might follow? Because next up, the fallout isn't just personal, it's strategic. Now with Future and LeBron both making quiet exits from Drake's corner, the writing on the wall is getting bolder. The circle that once felt untouchable, OVO, collaborators, day ones, is shrinking. And Drake, he's not hiding how much that bothers him. What Did I Miss plays like more than a comeback anthem. It sounds like a vent session from someone watching old alliances fade into silence. But here's the real question. Why now? Why are the same people who stood beside him for years suddenly choosing distance? The answer might lie in the aftermath of the Kendrick beef. When the smoke cleared and fans picked sides, so did the industry. Some stayed loyal to Drake publicly, but behind the scenes, more and more are quietly stepping away. And it's not just about beef, it's about how the culture is shifting. Kendrick raised the stakes. He changed what the audience demands from artists. And suddenly, those tied to Drake's old formula are looking outdated. So with Drake watching his inner circle thin out and his rivals climb higher, the pressure is real. Because if he's standing alone now, can the Iceman survive the heat that's coming next? So here's the twist. Drake dubbed this new chapter the Iceman Era, but 5 days in, it's already looking like the thaw has begun. The rollout felt dramatic. An hour-long live stream, subliminals flying, cryptic Instagram moves, and a single that promised clarity. But what fans got instead? Confusion. The idea was simple: reinvent, reset, reassert dominance. But what did I miss doesn't feel like a reset. It feels like a continuation of the same emotional spiral that's followed him since the Kendrick feud. And that's the problem. Every track since the beef has carried the same undertone: defensiveness, loneliness, and coded frustration. Where's the reinvention? And more importantly, what's left for fans to believe in? If the Iceman is supposed to be unbothered, why does the music still sound bothered? If this is a fresh start, why is it shadowed by old wound? In this moment, the Iceman image isn't sticking because the audience isn't convinced. They've heard the heartbreak, they've seen the shade, now they want something new. But if this is Drake's latest evolution, fans are starting to wonder, is it really an era or just another interlude before another reset? Now here's where things get even harder to ignore, because no matter how dramatic the rollout or how passionate the fan base, the streaming numbers tell the real story. What Did I Miss clocked in at 2.81 million streams on its first day. Respectable? Sure, but when you stack it against what Kendrick Lamar's been doing this year, it's not even close. Kendrick's recent featured tracks, not even solo singles, have hit between 5.4 and 6.6 million streams out the gate. So what does that tell us? It's not just about buzz anymore. It's about trust. Fans are rewarding authenticity, urgency, and evolution, and Kendrick's been delivering all three. Meanwhile, Drake's rollout felt like deja vu: high production, cryptic clues, and emotional outbursts, all leading to a track that didn't land like he hoped. And let's not forget, this isn't 2016 Drake, who could drop a Lucy and dominate the charts for weeks. The landscape has changed, the expectations are higher, and fans are holding artists accountable with their attention. So as the numbers come in, the question isn't whether Drake is still relevant, it's whether this strategy still works, because right now, the data says no. At this point, it's not just one underwhelming single, it's a pattern, and fans are starting to connect the dots. Since the Kendrick Lamar battle, Drake has dropped dozens of tracks, gone on tour, teased albums, subtweeted rivals, and live-streamed cryptic messages. But the one thing he hasn't done? Reinvent. Every time a new Drake record drops, the cycle repeats. A vague rollout, emotional lyrics aimed at former friends, subtle digs that never name names, and a tone that feels more like venting than vision. It's no longer surprising, it's expected, and that's what's hurting him most. Because in an era where Kendrick has redefined what momentum looks like through visuals, bars, features, and brand moves, Drake feels stuck in response mode. His music sounds like it's chasing ghosts instead of chasing greatness. And fans are noticing. The once hyped anticipation around a Drake release now comes with hesitation. Is this going to be another song about betrayal? Another cryptic jab? Another almost apology wrapped in ego? It's not that people have stopped caring, it's that they've heard it before. And in hip-hop, once predictability sets in, the legend status starts to wobble. So what happens when an artist stays loud, but the culture starts tuning them out? That's the quiet crisis behind What Did I Miss? Because while Drake is still dropping music, posting cryptic messages, and addressing former friends in song, the rest of hip-hop is evolving fast, and not in his direction. Kendrick's current run isn't just about dominance, it's about impact. Stadium tours, critical acclaim, brand collaborations, and chart-topping features have turned him into a symbol of progression. Meanwhile, Drake's recent moves feel like they're chasing a moment that already passed. Fans aren't just comparing bars anymore, they're comparing vision. And in that department, Kendrick has pulled ahead. Drake's artistic choices, from his sound to his subject matter, feel like echoes of past highs. The innovation that once defined him has been replaced by repetition, and the cultural conversation is starting to move on. Ask yourself, when was the last time a Drake release sparked real momentum in the culture? Not just headlines, but movement, energy, imitation. That's the space Kendrick occupies now. And unless Drake changes course, he risks being remembered not as the artist who led the culture, but the one who couldn't keep up with it. Now here's where everything collides, because this isn't just about one song or one beef. The fallout from What Did I Miss has exposed something deeper. Drake isn't just dealing with career turbulence, he's dealing with emotional fallout. The tone of the track, the subliminal shots, the obsession with who supported who, it all reads like someone trying to process betrayal, not make a statement. But here's the twist. The stakes aren't just personal anymore. They're symbolic, because Drake for over a decade has been a cultural constant. When he moved, the game followed. But now, the roles are reversed, and every cryptic post, every defensive lyric, every reference to past loyalty, it's showing fans that he's reacting, not leading. And in hip-hop, when you go from the hunter to the hunted, everything changes. Not just how people see you, but how they compete with you. The Iceman was supposed to represent calm, distance, control, but if this is what the persona delivers, a track filled with anxiety and veiled complaints, then what is Drake really telling us? Because if this is about regaining control, it's starting to look like he's losing it. So now we've seen the numbers, the responses, the shift in tone, and it's time to face the truth. This wasn't the comeback Drake promised. What Did I Miss was supposed to be the anthem that closed the Kendrick chapter, silenced the critics, and re-established dominance. But instead of sounding triumphant, it felt unfinished, defensive, even lost. And that's the part fans can't shake, because if this was meant to reset the era, why does it sound like another episode in the same cycle? A comeback requires silence, growth, perspective, not 50 songs, 3 cryptic rollouts, and another round of subliminals at former friends. Instead of commanding the room, Drake feels like he's reacting to it. Ask any fan who's followed him from So Far Gone to Take Care to Nothing was the same. This moment doesn't feel like elevation, it feels like erosion, and not because the talent is gone, but because the direction is missing. In the end, What Did I Miss doesn't answer the question, it becomes it. And if this is the new era Drake wants to build on, he'll have to stop looking over his shoulder before there's no one left walking behind. So here we are after all the hype, the silence, the cryptic live streams, and the Iceman rollout. What Did I Miss leaves us with one undeniable truth. Drake is at a crossroads, not just musically, but culturally. The numbers aren't lying, the reactions aren't warm, and the inner circle shrinking by the day. But here's the real question. Does Drake still have a true comeback left in him? Or has the era of reinventing himself finally run out of gas? Because if the biggest artists in the game are starting to quietly walk away, and fans are no longer surprised by the songs, what comes next? Is this just a misstep, or the start of something we'll be talking about for years? Let me know what you think in the comments. Has Drake lost the pulse of the culture, or is this all part of a bigger plan we haven't seen yet? Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, it helps more than you know. And if you made it this far, check out the next video where we break down the Kendrick feature that made labels panic behind the scenes. You won't want to miss it.